現代社会で3つ悪いこと、最悪なことを挙げるとしたら何ですか？
宗教と資本主義。金と祈りが世界を壊してる。祈りで世界が平和になったかね。戦争が起こるだけだろ
う。もしそのラジオで世界が何か変わったら、もう戻ることは考えられたりします？
ない。どんなこと、世界が変わろうが何が変わろうが、もうここは行こうか。動かないじゃ動きたくない。絶対こう死する。こんないいとこなんかもう多分ないよ。
So let's jump in right in with the topic of religion. Always a hot button topic, always controversial. But it doesn't always mean exactly what people think it means. It means so much more. To me, religion is the one and only problem in our world. The one and only problem that humanity is facing that is keeping it from going to the actual full potential of where it can be. And when we talk about religions, I don't just mean the cultural religions, okay? You have to wipe the definition of religion that, our culture has given us out of your mind and understand religion encompasses so much more. Government, politics, that's religion. The donkey cult and the elephant cult. No two better examples of religion, okay? Science can be turned into a religion if it is trusted too much. The New Age movement or some pseudo-spirituality movements can also be characterized as religions. And then there's the big religion, the one that people believe in even more than government, that binds them all together. And that is the monetary system. A lot of people don't think of that as a religion, but I would claim even the belief in money constitutes a religious belief. If you're coming at the information I'm about to present today from any of these perspectives, you're going to find it very difficult, okay? So I'm directly attacking the issue and going right to the psychological part of the mind and confronting it, okay? Not pushing that down, not having delicate sensibilities. Face-to-face confrontation with the main issue, and that is religion. Now, what is religion? The word religion comes from the Latin verb relegare, meaning to bind, to hold back by tying, or to thwart from forward progress. Religion is a system of sociological control based in unchallenged, erroneous, false, and dogmatic beliefs, which are specifically designed to hold back the progress of human consciousness. Religion is the head cage. Religion is the cage for the mind. And I'm here today to tell people that most anarchists are still subscribing to a religious thought process. And that is why they are not making the progress that they need to be making. Religion could be summed up in two words if we're being honest with ourselves. Mind control. People don't want to say it that way, but that's exactly the dynamic that we are talking about, and it is very real. One of the biggest forms of mind control is government. We are here today because we believe that it doesn't have moral legitimacy. That's what an anarchist believes, that there is no such thing as moral legitimacy to the violence of the state. It is the most dangerous religion on earth. I call it the most dangerous cult on earth. Government is a worldwide religious cult based upon the false religious doctrine of authority, an illusion of a diseased psyche, based entirely in violence and built upon the erroneous and dogmatic belief that some people are masters who have the moral right, quote-unquote, to issue commands, while others are slaves who have a moral obligation, quote-unquote, to obey the so-called masters. An absolute religious belief. Yet most people in the world subscribe to it, believe it, and stay attached to it with religious fervor. That's why it's so difficult to overcome, because it's been ingrained for so many thousands of years, and it has turned into a hardened, dogmatic religion in the psyches of most people. Here's how it worked in the old world. There was one being that had authority vested in him or her. That was royalty. We called this kingship or royalty, okay? And they sat at the top of the hierarchical structure of the world, dictating commands to their slaves, okay? To those that they considered their subjects. Now today, we think we've progressed so far, but all we've done is we've divested that authority into a few people, an oligarchical group of people calling themselves government. This is the so-called New World Order, where the old world order was kingship. The New World Order of rulership is government. And I don't care what you call it. You can euphemize it however you want to euphemize it. You can call it kingship, you can call it loyalty, you can call it government, but I don't mince words. I tell people direct, right to their face, exactly how it is, and I call things what they really are. It's slavery. And if you believe in it, and you believe it's morally legitimate, you believe slavery is morally legitimate. So I don't like to euphemize words or use soft language. You know, I'm a city boy, I'm from the hard streets, and I use plain language right in people's face. Government is slavery.
By eliminating money and the separateness that it causes, could the world be saved by sharing the resources and the work and eliminating all the unnecessary waste of energy and needless competition and consumption? Well, I'm not sure how money could be eliminated. See, I'm a funny person. I vacillate between, I have a very strong impulse toward political action and save the world and round up the miscreants and set things right. That's part of my thing. But I also have this incredibly evolved sense that it's a done deal, that it's okay, that the main task is a certain alertness and attention to one's comrades, and that it will all unfold through the intercession of the transcendental object at the end of time. People say this is a contradiction. Fine, it's a contradiction. I mean, what are we doing here anyway? Is life supposed to be simple? But I preface that by saying, one time somebody in a group like this challenged me and said, you're always talking about the peril of the planet and one thing and another. Why don't you ask the mushroom how to save the planet? And so then I thought that was kind of a facetious and challenging thing to propose, but the next time I found myself capable of asking the question, I did. And the mushroom hesitated, and now I pass this on to you as pure fungal hearsay on the networks. I said to the mushroom, so how can we save the world? And it hesitated roughly a third of a second, and said every woman should bear only one natural child. I thought about this for a long time before I ever publicly mentioned it to anyone, and I realized, you see, I think that what is destroying us are two things. Number one, an uncontrolled rise in population that wipes out every good intention, every social program, every expansion of agriculture succumbs to expanded population. This is destroying us. The other thing that is destroying us is that we are not properly utilizing the intelligence, talent, and so forth of half of our population, the female half of the population. Now, people say that we must, women must be promoted to professional positions and power positions, and of course this is true, and I agree, but what is really holding women back is that they spend a staggering amount of their creative lifespan raising children. And if every woman were to bear only one natural child, the population of the planet would fall by 50% in 40 years. Without wars, epidemic diseases, it would just naturally fall in half. Now, I don't think very many people have ever considered this possibility. We tend to think that our problems are insoluble. They are not insoluble. Furthermore, it turns out, and here's news nobody likes to hear, a child born to a woman in Santa Cruz compared to a child born to a woman in Bangladesh, that child will use between 800 and 1,000 times more resources than the Bangladeshi child in its lifetime. So where do we preach population control? The third world, because that's where all the people are. But that's not the problem. People are not the problem. Incredible consumption by some people is the problem. It would be possible to imagine a world where governmental institutions or whoever's running things could go to women and say, how would you like to have vastly increased leisure time? How would you like to have an increased expendable income? And how would you like to have genuine status as a hero in the struggle to save the planet? If women were to have only one natural child, women would very naturally come into an enormous empowerment. No one, no institution could deny it to them. And interestingly enough, this is not a plan where men, who have always been the planners and the managers of plans, play much of a role at all. Well, I just pass that off in case you don't want to put your trust in the transcendental object at the end of the world. Then the most politically conscious thing, apparently from the mushroom's point of view, that you could do is encourage those kinds of policies and that kind of attitude. The fact of the matter is, in 1800, the average American woman gave birth 13 times in the course of her lifetime. The two-child family is a genuflection to the Industrial Revolution. No traditional culture on this planet ever advocated the two-child family. It's a convenience that allows factories to run and jobs to be filled, and in fact, as the father of two children, I would argue that the two-child family, what happens is the children mirror the tension between the parents in a way that happens in no other configuration of parent-child relationship. So I would actually argue that the so-called family values that these right-wingers are constantly dinging us to preserve are in fact values created to support the agenda of the Industrial Revolution, which means global capitalism. And they have nothing to do with archaic values, which are enormous families, not nuclear families, but extended families living communally. That's the traditional model, and if you're not ready to go back to that, then one woman, one child is as good as anything else, in my humble opinion.
I mean, look at California, for example. Now, this may be a little lighthearted, but when I was young, it was the coolest thing to go to California, and I did. I got up and I left and I went to California, and it was great. Today, when I go to California, I'm appalled. I am absolutely appalled. I mean, what has happened to that golden state, that once great place to go to? It is regulated to death, taxed to death. It's a disaster. It's a social disaster. I mean, you can go and spend a little time in a lot of cities in California, and you can count the muzzle flashes, you know.
Yes. And it's just ugly. It's ugly to the eye, from the air, from the ground. There are too many humans to begin with everywhere. There are certainly too many of them packed into the population centers of California. I live in Southern California. The one thing I can say that I have good about my existence there is I live in Venice, down on those little canals, and I hear the ducks every night or in the middle of the morning, and at least I'm close to the ocean, and I'm a little bit away from the sound of traffic. And it's like a small oasis, but I agree with you, and I think it's true of most everywhere. Too many people, too much acquisition of goods, too many people hunting money and position and possessions. Everyone wants a salad shooter. Everyone wants a pair of sneakers with lights in them. Everyone wants a shirt with the number of some foolish basketball player on the back of it. And we've been bought off. We've been bought off with all these gadgets and toys. But two things I think that happened to this species that are irreversible and that destroyed us are the belief in a man in the sky, that's the sky god, as Gore Vidal calls him, the belief in the sky god who keeps a scorecard on us, and has a burning pit of hell for some of us. And the other is the pursuit of goods, commerce, rampant consumerism. The next HBO show I do is called The Great American Cattle Drive. But the American cattle are not being prepared for market in order to be sold. They're there for buying. They're there to do the buying. Get them to the mall. Get these suckers to the mall. Put them on the internet. Get them buying from e-commerce. Get them in the mall. It's just repulsive and disgusting, and it's one of the reasons I quit this species. It's one of the reasons I backed off and said, wait a minute, that's you over there, folks. This is me over here. I'll go my way, and if it costs me something, fine, I'll pay whatever price it is.